All right, hello and welcome to the second NIRSA Region 1 Student Development, Professional Development broadcast for 2017. I'm your host, Sarah Shovlin, and I'm coming to you from the University of Pennsylvania. Thanks to all of you who are watching with us live. Please share with your coworkers and colleagues that the broadcast will be available in our NIRSA Region 1 YouTube channel just after this, so you can check it out later. A big thank you to the NIRSA Region 1 Student Professional Development Committee, which includes Kevin George from Rowan, Zach Watson from UNH, and Pat Shank, who's sitting with me today, but he is going to school at Westchester University. So thank you to them for preparing this, and also to our guests who will be introduced here in a few moments. Today we're going to be talking about NIRSA preparation for the annual conference, how to prepare and what to expect. We have here with us three rec professionals and graduate assistants that have already kind of gone through the conference and can give you some tips on what to expect. So without further ado, we will get started, but I do want to remind you we are taking questions throughout the broadcast. If you're on Twitter, our name is @NIRSA Region 1. And any questions that you have, you can tweet those in during the discussion and we'll get them answered towards the end of this broadcast. So keep the questions coming. And we'll get started here right away. And we'll start with Taylor Hyde from Towson University, who's a graduate assistant there. Taylor, what are some things that students should do before the conference to prepare for this conference?
Hi, Sarah. Yeah, great question. And thank you again for having me on this panel for the second time. So a couple things that students can do to prepare for the conference are have the most updated resume in case there are people that are looking for graduate assistants and they decide that's something that they want to do. Having business cards with them, if that is a thing that they have, some seniors will their own business cards. It's not a make or break deal, but it's something that they could have that can market themselves. Another thing, that's one thing that I would highly recommend, is bringing a binder or a portfolio or even an iPad to take notes during the session. Every time I go to a NIRSA event, whether it be Region 1 or the annual conference, I come back with pages and pages of notes and things that I can take back to my school and campus rec, and also people and kind of collaborate on different ideas that we could have going forward.
Great ideas. Thank you, Taylor. Now we're going to go to our Region 1 student leader, Pat Shank. Pat, nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
What are some must-attend activities that students should definitely check out at the conference?
Yeah, so Taylor mentioned education sessions, and there's a ton of those, but just some other things that are going on. Tuesday, when most of you will be arriving, make sure you attend the opening general session. That'll be Tuesday from 4:30 to 6:30, and then right after that is the all-conference social. So make sure you check that out, a great networking opportunity for everyone, and time to have a little bit of fun. Wednesday, the student member connection meeting will be from 10:30 to 11:30. So if you're a student, definitely going to want to go to that, because following that is take a student to lunch. So at that point, you'll just get in the line for students and we'll pair you up with a professional and they'll take you out to lunch. So another great opportunity to meet someone in the field, have an opportunity to eat lunch with them, ask them some questions that you might have, and learn some things. From 4 to 7 on Wednesday, the Campus Recreation and Wellness Expo will have its grand opening. So make sure you head down there, check that out. And then on Thursday, that expo will be open from 9 a.m. until 2:30 p.m. And throughout that, we'll have a coffee hour, the t-shirt exchange, and an ice cream social. So make sure you go there, check that out. And then Friday from 7 to 8 a.m., the Mark Fletcher Potomac Plunge will be happening. So we'll be jumping into some cold water there. So great way to donate to the foundation, and go to check that out if you are interested in doing that. And then that night, Friday night, 6:30 to 9 p.m., the Honor Award Bank will be going on. So chance to get some dinner, dress nicely, and honor some people within the NIRSA community. Also, throughout all 4 days, we'll have the student lounge open. Wednesday through Friday, actually, we'll have the student lounge open. So an opportunity to go there, hang out, check out some things that students have done over the past year in NIRSA, and then we'll also have our Talk to a Pro session. So those are outlined in the guidebook, so you can see who will be there and when, so which area these people are in, these professionals. So if you have any questions about your specific area, whether that's facilities or aquatics or fitness, feel free to stop by there and ask professionals some questions.
Awesome. Thanks, Pat. Yeah, I definitely think that's going to be a huge opportunity for students in terms of talking to professionals. You can kind of get a catered one-on-one experience. The other way to do that, as Pat mentioned, is to take a student to lunch day, which I know as a professional, when I've taken students to lunch, there's actually been one that I ended up hiring as a full-time staff member eventually, just through that connection that I had when she was an undergrad. So definitely encourage you to get involved in those aspects, and thanks for the update and details on that, Pat.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're going to go to Sam Axley. He's the director at the University of Albany. Sam, what networking opportunities are available at the annual conference specific to students?
Well, first of all, again, thanks for having me and giving me the chance to chat. Though in honesty, I think in some ways Pat just answered a lot of that question. He rattled off a lot of things that are going on at the conference for students to go to. What I would say is networking opportunities at the national conference are in some ways endless. From the time you wander down from your room, since we're all contained at the Gaylord, going through the halls to going to sessions to if you're running back and forth from the Career Opportunity Center or going to the expo, people are always going to stand around and talk. That's a great staple of NIRSA. We see each other once a year and we chat a lot. I think the biggest thing that I would say is you're going to make a lot, you can make a lot of networking contacts if you're willing to want to just step up and say hi. I think most all of us in NIRSA, whether they're students or professionals, no matter how long we've been around, are happy to chat. We're happy to chat about you. We're happy to learn about you. We may or may not have a position open that you're looking at, but at the same time, you know, we've been around for a while, in my case, quite a while, but we're happy to chat and to talk. So any opportunity you get, if it's at the end of a session or before a session, you're standing around in the COC staring at a job and somebody else is staring at it too, just strike up a conversation and go from there. I think what you'll find is you may make a lifelong friend. You may or may not make an employer, like Sarah had said, but you'll make great relationships. And if you've done some other things in NIRSA, whether that's you've been to a state or a regional conference or a tournament or a fitness expo like that, you'll find some people at the conference that you've met before, and they probably have a group of contacts and friends that'll be around them, and you can share those.
Thanks, Sam. We kind of hinted towards it a little bit, the Career Opportunity Center, and potentially looking for, students looking for graduate assistants or professional positions. But Taylor, could you speak to us and let us know kind of what opportunities undergraduate students should be looking at to maximize their chances of getting a graduate assistantship?
Yeah, of course. So like Sam said, the COC, when I was going for my GA, I lived in the COC when I went to the NIRSA conference. I was constantly putting resumes in, looking at jobs. One thing that I would say is if you are interviewing or you do meet professional members at NIRSA, throw a thank you card in their box, or throw it was great to meet you, let's chat about this, and things like that. People are always wanting to get that positive reaction out of people. Also, before they come to the conference, they should, or I would encourage them to look at their social media. Is everything on their LinkedIn page completely updated? Or let's go tomorrow and have lunch, would they be able to look at their social media and see everything that they're involved in? They should also look to make sure that there's nothing inappropriate on their social media coming from college students. And another thing is to make sure that they're dressed nice. thing that I would say I would encourage people to do. At NIRSA Annual Conference, you're always interviewing if you are looking for a GA, and that's something that you should be mindful of. So I would say packing 2 or 3 nice outfits with you. You can dress casually at the socials, but just remember you're always interviewing.
I think that's great advice, even for you know, graduate assistants who are looking for professional positions, and the same for undergraduates looking for graduate assistantships. It's important to know, just as Sam mentioned with the networking, you're always on an interview. So it's very important to be conscious of your behavior, and I thought you had some good points about the social media and things like that. So definitely good tips from Taylor. Thank you. Now, Sam, let's go back to you. We kind of mentioned, obviously there's going to also be graduate assistants, students who are looking for professional positions. What would you say students should expect at the conference if they're searching for a professional position? And from your experience, what do you look for in hiring someone for a professional position at a conference?
Yeah, thanks, Sarah. You know, the first thing that I would really want to point out to folks who are graduate assistants looking for a professional position is kind of my experience. And if you got your graduate assistantship from going to the national conference, you know that you're, for 3 to 4 days, you're running around with your hair on fire, you're going to the COC, you're interviewing, you know, 6, 8, 10, 12 times, and you're really, really busy. And then I went to look for a professional job, and nobody talks to you at the conference. And all of a sudden, I felt like, oh my gosh, I must be worthless. Nobody likes me. Nobody wants to talk to me. What you have to understand is it's a totally different process. No one is going to hire you for a professional position at the NIRSA conference. And if they do, I'm not sure I would want to take the job anyway. We're going to have informational sessions. You're going to learn about the positions. You'll get a chance to talk with people from the university, the hiring folks, and get a little sense of the institution and the department. So you can start to get a little bit of understanding to that. Yes, you still need to dress professionally and you need to look nice. As we talked about, you're always on. But for going from GA to professional, for me, you need to do the basics. You need to have a good resume. We're all going to ask you, should you hand us a resume at the conference? Yes, but all of us are going to say you need to apply through the university's process. I can't do anything for you any other way but to go through that. But make sure your resume is in good shape. Reach out to your mentors, particularly, so that is in good shape. Work well and try to spend some time on the cover letter. You know, we always say to try to specify it to the position. You don't want to do a cookie cutter cover letter. You want to make sure you're looking out for what that specific position is. And really past that, I think what's hard for people to understand, and it took me a very long time to understand it, is professional positions basically come down to fit. At the end of the day, most of you are great people and great candidates, and you can all do the job. It comes down to, how do you fit with the department that I have? And how do you fit with the rest of the staff? How do your strengths and weaknesses match us, and go from there? So I think the good thing in NIRSA, particularly as you look for a professional job and you have a lot of contacts and a lot of fellow GAs that you've in some ways grew up with and are looking for jobs, you'll talk to each other. It's kind of nice because I never felt like I was competing against my friends for jobs. It was, we were all in this together, and somebody was getting an opportunity here, and, you know, hey, me and my buddy are interviewing over here. How did yours go? So I would definitely say reach out to those. But at the end of the day, it's all about fit. So sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
I agree. Definitely good words of advice there, Sam. Thank you. Going back to Pat, and kind of switching gears a little bit from, you know, the hiring process and the search process at a conference to more, maybe you're not necessarily looking for a job, but you are going to the conference and you want to get the most out of it. Pat, why should students consider volunteering? Where can they sign up? What does that look like?
Yeah, so as Sarah said, as Sam said, a lot of us are very busy when we're there. We're running around with our hair on fire or shotgunning hotel coffee in the room in between sessions. It's hard to find time to do something like volunteer. But if you're not there, if you already have a GA or if you're a younger undergrad there, volunteering is a great way to get your name out. It's a great way to meet other people, meet other students, find people to hang out with. They'll introduce you to their supervisors, things like that. So it's a great opportunity to network, get to meet other people, and really just be more involved in the conference when you might be struggling to find ways to get more involved while you're a little bit younger and aren't interviewing for positions and things like that. So you can actually go to NIRSA's website, and I have the link here. It's nirsa.net. If you go to NIRSA 2017, the link for the annual conference, and then go to Welcome Volunteers, you can sign up there for several things to volunteer for, whether it's the COC or volunteering at the student lounge or just being a session monitor, things like that. It's a great way to really get yourself involved without taking on too much responsibility. So yeah, feel free to look into that.
Thanks, Pat. And we'll get to an opportunity, if you are presenting, we'll get to that question very soon. But Taylor, before we get to that question, can you talk about your first time attending the conference? What were your expectations versus how it actually happened? You know, were there differences there?
Yeah, so my first conference was last year at the Gaylord in Orlando, which was actually very convenient because I went to school in Lakeland. So I didn't experience the high volume traveling, which was very nice. I also this year will not experience the high volume traveling because we are in DC, which is also convenient. But my first time attending the conference, I had a lot of guidance from Alicia Rosso, who was our assistant director at the time, and Jason Darby, who was my direct supervisor. They told me that I most likely wouldn't remember a lot from my conference because there was so much going on. And they were absolutely right. Like Sam said, my hair was on fire. I was constantly interviewing. I was in the COC, but it was one of the best conferences I have ever been to. It was so almost like liberating to see that NIRSA is just a big family. Everyone was excited to see everyone. They were catching up from people that they had known in undergrad, people that they knew in grad, and it was a really good experience. And I knew right after that that I wanted to go into a NIRSA affiliated school and get a GA. One of the things was a little difficult was I was not expecting the high volume that the conference was. You can only prepare so much for, 2,500 to 5,000 people. But it was a great experience overall, and I'm very excited for this year.
Sorry about that. We had the mute on. I just wanted to say thank you for that. I think most of us can relate to a similar situation where you never are quite fully prepared, but then there's also this kind of follow-up comfort in that you're walking around and people are just hugging and laughing and catching up. It's you see when you're hit with all these people, and then to have it be essentially family members is a great thing. So definitely think that's an awesome part of NIRSA. So Sam, in terms of presenting at a conference, what do you see are the benefits for students who receive, or the benefits that students receive from presenting at a conference, whether it be the annual or a regional or a state workshop?
Well, I think anytime you get the opportunity to stand up in front of your peers, other students and professionals, and talk about a specific topic and issue is always very beneficial to folks. I mean, one, you never know how many people you're going to get at a session. So I've done one at a state conference and had like 3, and I've done one at a national conference and had what felt like, 3,000, but maybe those are Trump numbers, so I'm not positive. But it's a good opportunity. Anytime you can do it, I would advise it because again, you're going to have the chance to talk about things in front of your peers. You get that the chance to stand up and show your knowledge, but also to really hone your skills, because that's a skill we all need, whether you're doing a presentation on your campus to your fitness center staff or whether you're doing it at a national conference. Having the ability to speak your mind, to speak it clearly, and to be able to state facts and opinions to folks is always going to be a positive. Now, I think the national conference can be a little more challenging, particularly for students, because it's a little harder to get into. So whether you're an undergrad, grad, or a new professional, or even in my case, an older one, getting the opportunity to put in the chance to present at any type of conference is a benefit.
Definitely. And I do think you bring up a good point, Sam, in terms of deadlines for submissions and things like that. Excuse me. The NIRSA Annual Conference, usually the deadline to submit a presentation is in like June or right at the beginning of summer. So that's something to keep in mind. Whereas I always found that it's good to kind of get your foot in the door, apply for a state workshop to present at a state workshop or a regional workshop. And there's nothing that says that you can't do the same presentation at an annual conference. If you get great feedback at a state or regional workshop, then you could submit to do an annual conference presentation, and that kind of helps you get a practice run anyways, incorporate any feedback that you think were great points, and then go from there. So, and you don't have to do it by yourself. You can connect with other colleagues within the region or at your institution, and that kind of takes some of the pressure off of it as well, and offers a diverse type of presentation for people to get two different opinions or experiences, which is great. So we have kind of our main questions already taken care of. Do we have, Zach, any Twitter questions coming through?
Yes, we have one question that came up. I'm going to direct this one over to Pat Shank. The question is, my first time at the conference, what should I be thinking about wearing? What should I wear to the conference throughout the couple days?
All right. Thanks to Scott Flickinger for sending this question in, like always, watching. So when you're going to the conference, it's a little bit more, you don't have to dress business professional when you're going to sessions and things like that, educational sessions. You can wear a school polo, something like that, like a supervisor polo you might have at your university, and then some khakis, something more casual like that. You don't want to be wearing basketball shorts and a t-shirt or anything like that, unless you're testing out some of the equipment at the expo, then it's okay. But throughout the day, that's typically how you want to dress. When you're going out at night to the socials, things like that, you can dress even more casual than that. Jeans and, a button down, something like that for the guys. Sarah, maybe you want to touch on what the girls want to wear?
Yeah, I mean, similar. It depends on your style, I suspect, but similar, kind of casual, but something that, again, if you are looking for an interview, or even if you're not interviewing this year, you want to be presentable so that when someone remembers you from the year before, that they understand that you're not, dressed to go out to a club and impress some, men or women, but more of, you're understanding that you're working with your colleagues and you're out with your colleagues. It is a social setting, so it's more relaxed, but maybe nothing too crazy.
Yeah, for sure. And if you are there for an interview, that's when you want to dress business professional. That's the time when you want to break out the suit or, whatever. So for the most part, a little bit more on the casual side, but in that scenario, that's when you want to dress business professional.
I do think at the Gaylord in particular, and I could be wrong because I'm not attending this national conference, but do they have an indoor pool?
They do, yeah.
They do. So hey, you might want to bring your swimsuit. You might not. Depends on, if you're an aquatics person, you definitely do. But Pat brought up a good point, is that there are opportunities for attendees to work out. So whether it's in the gym at the Gaylord or within some of the workout sessions or at the expo, you can actually go and work out on some of the brand new equipment and get a feel for what it is. So that's something to consider to bring as well in terms of attire. So anytime you're going to a NIRSA conference, you usually have to pack the big suitcase because you're potentially wearing up to 3 outfits a day if you are interviewing and things like that. So definitely be prepared. And I do think that there are some resources online as well through the NIRSA website that gives you kind of what to bring and what to expect. So I definitely encourage you to look through the website and kind of dig around a little bit because there are some helpful resources through that avenue as well.
Yeah, if you are going to work out, just don't expect to be the only person in the gym at 6 in the morning because you're with thousands of other people in the fitness and wellness field. So going to be pretty packed down there. But definitely pack your bathing suit because you should do the Potomac plunge. I'll be there, my bathing suit, my Joel Embiid jersey. So I'll be doing it. Pack your bathing suit and help out the foundation.
Awesome. Zach, do we have any other questions?
Not from Twitter.
Okay. And thanks to those of you who did submit a question. And I do want to give a special thank you to Sam and to Taylor for joining us, as well as Zach and Pat, of course. But do you all have any closing words you'd like to send before we sign off? No. All right. So thank you all for your answers. Come find the majority of this group at the NIRSA conference next week. Definitely say hello, introduce yourself. This will be our last webinar for the semester, but be on the lookout for more material from us in the next few months. And the webinars will definitely be back in the fall. So we look forward to serving you in those aspects. If you do have ideas for webinars or you'd like to get involved, please feel free to reach out to ourselves. You can message us through either Twitter or the YouTube channel. We'd be happy to get you involved and answer your questions. So thank you all for joining us. Have a great time in National Harbor in DC, and we'll see you soon. Take care.